I am Shante Javon Taylor, and you are having coffee with the neuroscientist.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. I am Shante Javon Taylor, neuroscientist and success strategist. I am the founder of the OptiMind Institute. And today we have another wonderful interview with an OptiMind student and graduate who is a neuro coach and leadership coach, an emotional mastery coach, and a brain trainer. And we're just going to discuss her journey before she joined the program, during the program, and the wonderful things she's doing now to change the world. So welcome, Omozua.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I've been watching you over the years since you joined the program, and you're just doing some wonderful things. But I never really got the story of what led you to join OptiMind? What led you to learn about the brain? And first, give us an intro on what you do first.
Well, what I do literally is I help people to superfuel their emotions and stress for success on their own terms, and to literally improve whatever it is they aim for, be that their productivity, be it the way they relate to people, be it the way they perform, and how they get their results. So individuals, I work with companies, we do teamwork. I even work with teenagers who also are looking to improve things in their lives. So that's literally what I spend my time doing. And I started out as a teacher. I have a teaching background. So I do come from that field where you help people, where you wait for that moment when the light bulb goes on. So that has been a drive in my life, and that's so beautiful. And from that path, I got into coaching. And so like most people, I started out as a life coach. I trained for about 3 years, and it was just so amazing what you learn about what we can do with our minds when we set ourselves up for something. I then moved on. I came across a very great teacher who asked me, do you want to do something with emotional mastery? And I think that just flabbergasted me. Absolutely. It was 3 years of learning in an amazing small group of people. And he taught us a lot. So we went through the whole NLP, CBT, but the emotional mastery bit of it was the one that just made me realize that if humans understood what was going on in there, where these emotions are created, what it does to our body, and also how it directs our actions, that just set me on fire, I would say. So after the emotional mastery training, I did continue with John Mattone, who coached Steve Jobs for a while. And I did my executive coaching because I wanted to know, how do they go about things? You can't go to a leader and say, well, let's talk about your beliefs.
Right.
That's too soft of a language of an approach.
Right.
So I wanted to know, what is it? How do they see the world? How do they operate? What is the language that they need to understand? And that was just so amazing. And as being the person I am, I love learning. My friends always say, God, geez, is there going to be a point where you stop doing school stuff? Because I was always like, I need an exam, I've got to study, I can't go out with you guys. And somehow I came across you on Facebook, and I thought, oh, what is that? OptiMind. I listened to a video, listened to a second one, and it really took me over a year. In that time, obviously, I was doing all these other trainings, but I had been seeing the OptiMind training, the school, neuroscience. At first, it was a bit frightening because I was like, neuroscience, that's like a scientist. I'm not a scientist. What does that mean? I'm sure I'm not going to understand a single thing. But the more I started to watch what you were doing, the more and then sort of like connecting it to what I had already done. And I saw there is a link. Life coaching, even when you want to change your values, it involves that thing. It involves the brain. You know what? I always have that near me. Your emotions, it involves what you understand. You need the brain. the executive coaching with John Mattone, that was amazing because you need to understand what is going on there. How are you making decisions? What is driving your decisions, your actions, the way you interpret the world? It's not just a technical thing you can read in a book. You need to understand these things deeply. And that was it. I then one day checked the website and I really took my time and I said, okay, Oma, be calm. Read what the OptiMind school is saying, check the website. And I thought, wow, I think I'm going to do this.
So you crossed over the bridge of fear, your skepticism, saying, the brain is powerful, but it's too complex for me to learn, essentially.
Yes, yeah, because I just saw neuroscience and I thought, okay, but I think that if you can pass through all of that, and because I connected my dots and I saw that was, I felt something is missing, and when I read the whole thing, I read the program and I thought, oh yeah, this is it. I liked it. And when I also saw that it was in chunks, without even knowing that is a way the brain likes to learn. I like the fact that there was like a bit, neuroscience on this, neuroscience on that. And then I said, yeah, the words seem accessible to me. I didn't have to learn anything medicinal or anything. And that was it.
Yeah,
that's how I got on the journey.
Yes, people, and that's one of the myths, right? Is that the brain is only for doctors or psychologists or neurologists. If you have a brain, which everybody does, you deserve to know how to use it and take care of it and fuel it and empower it, just like your own, physical body, your heart, your muscles. When you exercise, you're strengthening your body, you're making it powerful. You have to do the same for your brain and for the brains of people you influence, especially as a leader and coach.
Yes.
So you said, executives, CEOs, they think on a different level. They just do. They got a lot of different, gears going on in their brain.
Yeah.
They just work differently. So if you come to them with the soft skills of let's talk about your belief systems, they'll probably, hang up the phone or be like, yeah, I don't have time for this. Yeah. So what have you learned about your approach to executives and CEOs, bringing in this neuroscience, this evidence, this brain science to really help them transform?
What I have learned just along the whole journey, the life coaching training I did, the emotional mastery, emotional mastery taught me that when you are communicating with someone, you absolutely need to master what it means to step back in every conversation, in every interaction that you have. Step back, because not stepping back, like in tennis, you don't just surge forward to hit the tennis ball. You need to step back to actually see the ball coming. Right. And that's the same thing in listening. So by doing that, I was able to sort of also step back and put whatever drove me and put it aside, put it in a bag, in front of the doorstep. Nobody's going to take it, so that you could actually listen to what the executive was saying, for you to figure out, how does this particular person I am interacting with right now, how does that person see the world? Is he a visual person? Is he more like, does he like images? Is it, what language does he or she use? And that you have to adapt your language, because you are talking to a brain, and a brain, when you understand how it works, it does not like anything. It does not identify. And it's quick to judge that part of our, I like to call it the inner mind chihuahua, always there to protect you, the amygdala. And it's always there to protect you. It just doesn't wait for the whole story. So when we talk about first impression, literally, that's what's happening in that moment. That's what can go wrong in your first impression, your first meeting. What does the brain of the person perceive from what you're saying? And if you're using the wrong language, if your language sounds judgmental, if you're asking somebody, what's your values? If you haven't built the context for that, that goes wrong. So what I have learned in the neuroscience training that I did. And, I'm more like other people put on Netflix, and I always go back to my modules. I'm just like, oh, you know what I feel like? I feel like listening to the neuroscience of personal development right now. That's what, it feels good. I find myself nodding. I'm like, it's as if every time I listen to it, I hear something new. So I really love that. And that's what I have learned about the leaders. This is what it has done for me, that I'm able to work with whatever age, whatever the gender is, because I can really step back to see what kind of brain am I talking to right now?
Yes.
Am I listening to know what triggers that particular brain?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you can do your job.
You've learned to be aware of what part of the brain you're triggering or activating. And even if you do trigger that amygdala or the threat brain or the fear brain, you still know how to move them through that.
Yes, exactly,
right?
exactly.
And move them to their higher part of the brain, and change their framing of why they're triggered, because you're there as a coach, right?
That's
to
it.
Get them to the highest point of themselves, to help them to maneuver in their brain so that they can make better decisions and all of that. So,
yes.
And I like the Netflix of the brain. I love that.
Yeah.
And so since you've been able to build upon your existing knowledge as an educator, as a coach with neuroscience, what other opportunities have expanded for you? And how have you been able to position yourself as a neuro coach, a neuro leader?
It's been very, very miraculous. I'm working my business partner, Karen Van Hout, and we really sat down together and said, we really need to connect the dots. That's what it's all about. If I look at the trajectory of my path and everything that I have done, it is connected. I didn't just wake up one morning and just say, now I help people, but I have connected the dots. And so what this does for me is that it helps me have very easy conversations. Very easy conversations, because depending on who you're talking to, you can see exactly, sort of like you see an X-ray, and you can really see what is going on in the person you're talking to. Yes, and it just feels so good, and you can meet them at that point. And people really understand what you're trying to say, because they see that you're able to put in words in a way that doesn't threaten them, in a way that doesn't judge them. That they just say, wow, I hear the facts you're saying to me, and that's awesome. And you can have these conversations, and people want to improve. Times like we have now is just showing the days where you can pretend that people just do their jobs and they don't feel and they don't think and they just function is over.
Yes.
It's done.
It's a new day. We need a whole paradigm shift. And it's very important that you're working with leaders, executives, and CEOs, because they tend to be in their left side of the brain. So, that creative, that emotional, they don't want to deal with that, but it's so important for them to deal with it within themselves and within the people who work for them. And so
that they can understand that.
Yes, you bring that science, right? You bring the brain science to say, when you have happier, employees, they're more productive, they're more creative, because if they are in their amygdala, their fear brain, if they fear losing their job or fear criticism all the time, that's going to shut down productivity, focus, which affects the bottom line, right? So you can give them, the CEO, that choice. Do you want to fuel a joyful, motivated organization? Do you want to have that culture or a culture of fear, right? And so you can give them the evidence and allow them to make the choice. You still put the power in their hand.
Yeah, the power is always in their hand, because it's always really understanding. There's something that I like to do with my clients, which is I always like, everybody starts their day with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or some people like milk, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I like to start my day with a cup of DOS, D-O-S. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. And I think that if you're leading people, have cheers. If you want to build trust, you need to understand what is the driving chemical of that. So obviously, if you want to influence people who need more serotonin on any given day, or they need dopamine, or you need to know what cup you're giving to them, so that they have doses of that every day.
Yes.
And so when you understand that, you better understand, like, you don't take things personal because you're like, this person just needs a little bit of motivation. What can I do? Yeah. And this is the chemical the person needs. So what are the actions that are connected to that? And it makes it so smooth and easy to do. And you never have to sit as a leader thinking, I don't know how to have this feedback with this particular person, because you are addressing something that is a default setting. This person he needs a lot of serotonin. All right, now this person needs oxytocin. And understand that if you are leading and you are not aware of the fact that you are handing out cups of cortisol or stress hormones, that's an eye-opener. When people say, what do you mean? I'm like, well,
Exactly. These human interactions or words or conversations are either fueling the fear brain with, stress, adrenaline, or doing these actions over here fuel the dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin. So you start to educate them on their own brain, and then they can put on the X-ray glasses and start to see people as humans that can grow and that can be nurtured to be their best, their best human potential.
Exactly.
And so essentially, with you empowering yourself about neuroscience and brain science to be a better coach and better leader, you are creating ripples effects with
Absolutely.
executives,
Absolutely.
CEOs who have influence over hundreds, even thousands of people. And if they're all using their brains at this level, thinking through, using their X-ray glasses to look from the lens of the brain and mind and how they can power up their brain, this world will be a totally different
a better place. I said, you need to understand that you are a brain talking to a brain.
Yeah.
You need to be aware of that, and that at any given time, every brain needs something different.
Yes.
So that helps you to, people talk about flexibility. We talk about being innovative, motivating, being creative. These all call for a different kind of action, it's a different need. The way you access it is different, but also people access it in a different way too. And the more you understand about it, we talk about inclusion and diversity. And people, it's spoken of as if it's an issue. And I think, no, inclusion and diversity is human. It's not an issue, unless you're talking about it as if it is a problem.
Absolutely.
It isn't a problem. We are different people. Even twins are different in certain ways.
Absolutely.
We need different things. The more you understand the organ that you have, your friend, you understand how the external world has its own challenges, but a lot of the things that are within your control come and you can solve them when you understand what you need or what exactly is at play. Are you in a defensive mechanism mode, survival mode? And you can accept it with compassion and just say, I'm human. And I know there is nothing wrong with me. I'm just having that right now. And I know what to do to change it. It's easy to tell people, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But we know how it is. It's just like I told myself, Omo, don't buy chocolate. Mm-hmm. You're stuck at home and you and chocolate in the same house is not a good combination. And I did go to the supermarket and I did not have chocolate on my list, but I bought it anyways, because before I knew it, I was standing and then I was having this conversation with myself. Come on, be nice. Just go on. Just a little pack. A little pack turned into 2 packs. Point being, it's good to notice that something is going on and that your thoughts, how you interpret them, your feelings, whatever excuses, it involves that one organ. It's a system. And if it doesn't work together, well, that is how your outcomes are going to show.
Absolutely. So brain allows you to be, instead of a linear thinker, okay, which we've been taught in school to 1 + 1 = 2. The brain allows you to think multi-dimensionally.
Yes.
from all sides, from a 360-degree lens.
Exactly.
Right? So you can deal with the environment, your internal world, external world, the person in front of you, all at the same time, because the brain is so brilliant, it could just do that. Right?
It can do that. It can do that.
You can uniquely, in less than a second, figure out how to deal with the person, how to guide the person, what knowledge you need to impart on them, where you can help them to redirect their blood flow in their brain to think, or reframe a situation. It's really a powerful way to see the world and to engage.
I remember you saying once that it was in a lecture that you and Dr. Rael Sims gave, and saying that, neuroscience is the missing link. And how do you connect the dots? Isn't it amazing when you understand that every single thing you're thinking, your drive, your decisions, who you like, who you don't like, how you even explain to yourself why you don't like someone, even though you've never spoken to the person. Right. All of that just from one organ, and that the positive can arise when you just understand to exercise your power of choice and understand what is going on. You don't even need to do much, really. You just need to identify what is going on, and that already changes so much. So for me in my business, it has just been very at first, of course, people go like, what are you, a psychologist? And I'm like, no, I'm not a psychologist. And I like to start with something simple, like, everybody has heard of the word dopamine. I'm like, yeah, well, what motivates you? And people talk about it, and then you can start from there. So it's very accessible and it's understandable. And if you keep it simple, people start to unleash their own powers because they identify things, they see the world a little differently, and they can move out of that linear way, as you said, of approaching life or approaching any conflict or approaching everything they do in life. And it just makes the whole difference. And motivation is different then, it's not just sitting and saying, okay, call my name or fall in my arms, because the brain doesn't understand it worked. Let's be thankful for old ways, but the brain likes novelty.
Right.
And it allows us to approach that novelty and to teach it and impart it on people who are just yearning to unleash their potential beyond a self-help book, which is great while you're reading it because you're releasing dopamine and serotonin, and it just feels good. But we know how it is. What happens 10 minutes later? It starts to... You get back to your normal state. So what I have learned from the OptiMind neuroscience training is, how do you empower people in such a way that they are able to learn sustainable long-term strategies within their control, something that they can fire up whenever, no matter what they're doing, no matter who they're with. And it's just so beautiful when people get that light bulb moment for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, you're essentially empowering your clients to access more of their brain potential and understand what their brain does to get them to the next level of themselves without you being around, because our clients are they're not with us 100% of the time.
No,
I mean, we're only with them like 0.001%. As coaches and leaders. So we want them to be empowered while they are in life, making decisions, all the time, engaging
when it's needed.
When they're in the moment, they have to know and be able to analyze in the spot their internal world. What is happening to my brain right now? My emotions. What part of the brain is this activating? Can I do something to shift this? What was the strategy Omozua shared with me that, will help me to reverse the blood flow to my prefrontal cortex, right? Or, help me focus or have attention. We want to empower our clients and not make them dependent upon us, right?
No, I mean, as a coach, you never want that. There's no, that is also not doing your job well. I mean, that's not how that works. I mean,
so every coach should have this in their
clients should not be dependent on you.
Right.
That is not how you unleash their power. You
Right.
don't want, they're supposed to be able to do that without you. You are supposed to put them on the path just because you've tread a few steps ahead of them, so you kind of can help them. You should be a mirror that just helps them to look at what's going on, and can you look at the system of things, look at the system of that. I loved when you taught us about the brain and the most simple way to explain it to people, and that they could just be, it's either there, or there. That's it.
Right.
Don't make it complicated, and that you can empower them and just say, oh, that's the choice, and I don't want to be right there. I don't want to be charged right now. I want to be zen. How do I reach that moment?
Right.
And there are many strategies, and they can choose. So it's always helping them to exercise their power of choice and knowing that at any point in time, they can choose. In stress moments like this that we have, many people watch the news daily, and it does something to you. So you need to exercise your power of choice.
Right.
Does it make you feel good watching 5 hours of news every day where that doctor says something or that leader says that? It's too much. And so you need to be able to exercise your power of choice to say, I don't want what is happening right now to continue. So how do I switch it? Like you said, switch it over, do something that is resourceful. I'm all about being brain friendly and resourceful.
Right. The brain is the ultimate source of our control and power in a world that seemingly doesn't feel like we have much of control. But if you feel like you have controls just within you in your immediate world, that gives you back the power to think more powerfully and be solution oriented and creative, and keep your nervous system in check so that it's not just, going wild and, reacting to what's going on
reacting.
In the world. So
that is it. Yeah. The reacting is the worst part, I think.
Yeah, the reacting. We need to be proactive. The brain, understanding the brain is a proactive way to move forward in life, regardless of what occurs to us as humans, right? So do you have, what are you working on now? Or do you have any success stories that are?
Well, at the moment, I'm working on 2 great things. So due to this, I've been talking to a few clients of mine who are like almost everyone in the world right now, locked down, never seen situation. And there are all these emotions. And, one lady just said, hey, do you mind doing an emotional mastery session for some mothers? We are identifying all these different roles. We are lawyers, we're doctors, but now we were mothers before, but now you have to be a teacher, a cleaner, an entertainer. And so I started this wonderful emotional mastery group coaching. So I do group coaching, I do individual coaching, depending on what people actually want. And I recently just started this emotional mastery for driven leaders, driven managers who sort of are having to do all this work at home. I know everybody talks about having a lot of time, but actually they don't have more time. They have more work. Yeah. Especially now that they're away from the offices. So I'm doing these emotional mastery for success and resilience workshops, trainings, coaching, and also with my business partner, Karen Van Hout, we are doing the systemic neuroscience virtual masterclasses, where it's a lot about seeing the whole system, seeing the brain. So those are what we're working on, and using our 3 to 5 brain system code. So those are the great things that are just opening up, because it serves what is needed now, which is be future ready at any time. That is literally the drive.
Love that. You can redirect your programs, how you serve, and it's just a constant creating machine. So you can pivot any way you want to. And even as we evolve as coaches and professionals, as leaders, we can go into that neuroscience and say, what can I create to serve leaders in this way now, or professionals in this way? Because you're dealing with the core source of who we are as human beings.
It doesn't change. The brain, it doesn't change in that sense. You will always have that. It doesn't sort of lose its function unless you don't actually activate it and treat it with love and compassion, and let it serve you. you know,
Absolutely.
teach the brain to serve you, literally.
It's a goal achieving machine, and it can reinvent, it can pivot. You just got to give it the instructions, right? And take care of it. And so, you know, that's a powerful way to use it. It's a very empowering way. You feel more empowered when you understand about the brain and mind. So how do you attract lawyers and executives and CEOs, you know, to your program?
So literally what happens is a lot of referrals at the moment, which is always the best thing for any business person, isn't it? When 1-2 people already know you. So you get to do a lot of work, and it may not seem as if you are really talking to a lot of people, but because people know, oh, I've worked with that person. So I reach out to certain people. Like I work a lot on LinkedIn, and I reach out to a lot of people. I get into conversations with a lot of people. And from there, starting dialogues, and all of a sudden it does come up that people say, I'd like to know more about that. We had just recently finished one of our master classes, a virtual one where we had 10, you know, I'd say senior level executives and leaders. And it was just fantastic to see how they had that moment and said, what, we're talking about the brain? Really? We're busy. We've got a crisis. And I'm like, and it is with your brain that you will be able to navigate the way
effectively. Yeah.
Because there are things you can't control. That the thing is there is a fact, but you can navigate your way resourcefully, effectively to get the results that would be a win-win for more people than less. I just tell people, you know, it's not difficult. It's new.
Right. And, you know, neuroscience wakes up the brain, because now you're not talking like every other coach and every other leader, you know, using the same leadership principles. And, you know, maybe your coach telling someone how to, you know, reduce their anxiety, breathe more. But now you're putting the neuroscience behind it. Now their brain is lighting up like, oh, I haven't heard this before. The brain loves novelty. The dopamine kicks in. So when you're presenting your work, when you're doing your videos, when you know people are reading, you know, your title on LinkedIn, you've already separated yourself from the past. And you know, attention is one of the greatest human commodities. If you can get somebody's attention just because of your title as a neuro leadership coach, or, you know, or you're, you know, they get in 5 seconds of your video and you're already talking about their powerful brain, you know, they're going to stay and listen, right?
It makes a difference, Shante. It really makes a difference, because it's very easy to tell people, to give people a list of what they should do. Well, our job, and what I have learned, what neuroscience coaching actually allows me to do, is sort of to tell people that I want you to operate on your own terms. And I want you to know that the best state of your brain is when you can put the ego aside and you can create a win-win for everybody, because that's what influence is about. That is what motivating is about, and that is what leading is about, and just thriving in yourself as a person. And people, this news resonates. My slogan is be CEO of your brain.
Yes.
Don't let your brain run you. Be CEO of your brain.
Like, I'm running this.
Yeah, I'm running the show here, okay? So that you can also deal better with your emotions. So like, if I know you shouldn't be eating chocolate, then you have all these conflicting emotions, because then you eat the chocolate and then you get guilty. The whole cycle. So find a way that is okay for you. I'm going to eat the chocolate, but because I'm the CEO of my brain, I'm going to stand up tomorrow morning. I'm going to exercise for 1 hour. And you already have told your inner mind chihuahua, I've got this. Sit down. I've got this.
Right. Or maybe dark chocolate is beneficial and nutritional for the brain.
Exactly. So have 2 pieces if you want to. Exactly.
Right. So we want to be intentional about how we use our brain. We don't want to use it, you know, unintentionally or without thinking about it. We want to wake up thinking about how can I lead from my highest brain, my highest self. And you know, when you're teaching your clients and educating them about their brain, you're really telling them, I believe in you. without saying it, I believe that you are powerful. I believe that you can learn this knowledge and that you can be in control of your life, of your world. And they haven't heard that or felt that a lot of times from other people. So when you share about the brain with other people, you are empowering parts of them that they didn't even know existed or hasn't been awakened in a long time. Like I trust you that you can learn this.
And that you can, and that you tell them you can see yourself. Don't wait for someone to say, I see you. You can actually start to evolve into that space where you see yourself the way you are. What is very important to me in my work is to say, we are always looking for an idol, someone to obsess about. That person does it, but that person is that person. I think that what I think is our mission as brain coaches is to tell people, you can be shy and you can be powerful. You can be not as loud as that person, but you can be powerful and you can make a difference on your own terms from where you are. Whatever little thing you can do that helps you to see yourself in a different way is beautiful, is powerful, and should be embraced, starting with you embracing it. Because when you shine that light out, people are going to notice something is different about you. I remember before I would be doing works on beliefs and values with people. And to be candid, Shante, sometimes I felt blocked, like this person does not believe this. And the person tells you, but I don't know how to change my beliefs. I don't understand it. It's so difficult. And I have never, ever had that feeling again of being not in the position to explain to someone in a brain-friendly way how to deal with values or beliefs. Or now I have the science behind it, and it is possible.
Yes, it is possible. It is definitely possible.
It makes so much easier.
Yes, so when we understand about our own brain and help others to do the same, we're helping people to show up more authentically.
Yes.
Right. And absolutely. I know that word has even been, popularized, and people really don't understand, well, what is authenticity? Well, when you understand about your brain and you're not being authentic, you're actually fueling more fear and threat and using up mental energy to be who you are not, because you have to suppress who you really are. So once you understand the dynamics of the brain, you can decide, do I want to use mental energy to suppress my true self, my true emotions, my true thoughts? So you actually start to become your more authentic self the more you understand about your brain. That's so important as coaches and leaders for us to act in our authentic skin so we can connect with our clients and those we influence. If we show up clogged up with obstacles and not believing, we won't be able to connect with them on that level and
not at all.
To get to their next level.
Your questions change, isn't it? Also, like the kind of questions you get your clients to start asking when you are able to help them open up. It just changes. I'm a big fan of power questions. And the better you get at it, the easier it is for you to find clarity and not be stuck in fear. I would say the 3 Fs, fight, freeze, or flee. You will sometimes find yourself in that state, but because that's human, but that you don't need to remain in that state. You can actually change it around. And I think that's when people know that's magic, definitely.
It's magic. It really is.
It's magic.
Well, magic with some science and research behind it and evidence.
Yes.
Well, this has been a very empowering conversation. And I love having these conversations because I never know where my OptiMind graduates are going to go. It warms my heart to know that you are doing great things with this work and you are changing brains, one brain at a time, groups at a time, however you're doing it. You're out in the world, changing the world. And I just appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much. That was one of the best decisions that I could make, and doing the training was just, it was amazing. I kept on having this conversation like, oh my God, how is that people don't tell you that? Oh my God, why don't they teach us that at school? Oh my God, sleep is really this important? Oh my God, your creativity does not mean only drawing, but there's a different kind of creativity and how you can tap into that. I was going, yes.
And you have access for life?
For life. Like I said, it's my Netflix. And when I watch too much Netflix, I'm like, I'm going to go to your brain Netflix. Okay, go to your brain Netflix. You don't have to watch. Yeah? Yes. Choose wisely. Be intentional about the input that you're taking in, because it influences everything. Really.
Absolutely. Wonderfully said. So if you want more information on whether or not the OptiMind program is a good fit for you and your vision, your clients, and whatever you're doing professionally or in your business, I'm going to be putting a link to make a breakthrough call with me, and we can discuss your vision. We can come up with a strategy to see if the OptiMind program is a good fit to fuel your vision. And we'll just hop on the phone call to see, if you can get to Omozua level and change the world and change lives and pivot and all those wonderful things she's been able to accomplish. So I'll put that link. Thank you so much, Omozua.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to continue to watch you as you, keep evolving and keep serving at this powerful level.
Thank you so much.
Remember, everyone, when you better your mind and better your brain, you can make a bigger impact in your inner world, your outer world, with your clients, with your business, with your profession, because it's time for humanity to go to the next level of our human potential, and it starts with the brain.
Did you like this episode? Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and share with a friend. And if you consider yourself a modern thinker, and if you want free mindset success tools and more tips and strategies on how to use neuroscience in your everyday life and how to stay motivated and inspired to live your best self, come visit me at ShantaeTaylor.com, enter your name and email address, and sign up for my newsletter. Remember, when you better your mind, you better your brain, you better your impact.